big heart adventures, where the harvest is the hunt, and the hunt is all we want. Come join Big Heart Adventures, 'cause there's a world outside the door that we might as well explore. So let's go on Big Heart Adventures, where the harvest is the hunt, and the hunt is all we want.
All right, Mike Croston here, your host for another episode of Big Heart Adventures. Great to be back from Africa, up here in the North Country of Canada, up in Broximo, Saskatchewan. Was down in South Africa hunting with Heinrich, and he says, "Hey, I got a buddy of mine. I'm going to call him up, and he may be interested in what you're doing." And he called him up, and sure enough, he was. Broximo, also known as Broximo. And this guy is quite the hunter. So I got in contact with him and decided, hey, I'm just going to drive up, if that's okay. And he said, yeah, come on up. Let's get it done. Let's see what this thing's all about. So I got back from Africa, got caught up on a few things, and hit the road again. And up I went, drove up there, and I was really excited to meet him. Really didn't care what the hunting was like. Really just wanted to meet him and get to know him and see what his operation up there looked like. So showed up, and we visited, and really didn't have a plan of what we were going to do. He had put some bait out for the bears, and was scouting out some deer, and the elk were just starting to rut. So we knew we had some opportunity to get onto some animals, and I just wanted to show him what H.A.R.T was all about and see if that could fit into his operation, even for him. So as we started out, it was the easiest thing to do was to sit in the blinds and sit for bear. And let me tell you, that country has got a lot of bear, and a lot of good bear. Some color phase, mostly black bears we saw, but the first day was pretty good. Saw a few smaller bears in the one stand. Nothing that came in for a good H.A.R.T shot opportunity, just kind of sneaking through. A lot of foliage still out there. So sat again in that same stand, kind of with no luck the next day too, but it was real enjoyable. It's a great setup, good stands, comfortable blinds I was in. So the next morning moved to a different blind, and there the bears were hitting that bait a little more regular, and did get that first H.A.R.T shot there on a really nice bear. It was, came in kind of right away as I got there. So then I set up Brock with his own setup on his 308, got him some blanks, and as I was sitting there, he went out and tried to test it out. Didn't have any luck that day, but kind of getting used to the H.A.R.T system. So then we drove around that afternoon and ran across some mule deer, which really isn't that common up there. So it was neat to see couple pretty big bucks. And then we just, proceeded to hunt when we wanted to, and we ended up talking a lot about H.A.R.T and what it could do for his operation, and how it's helping him get back to hunting himself, where he doesn't have to worry about if he doesn't want to full harvest and get into all the time-consuming stuff there. He showed me his operation, and we had a really good time. So I'm excited for him to join us here in a little bit and give us a take on what his thoughts are and how he liked the H.A.R.T system and moving forward what his plans are. So, but that'll kind of wrap up the show. And northern Saskatchewan is just a wonderful place. The deer are huge, the bear are huge. There's elk, there's moose. It really is. If a guy gets the chance to go up there, whether H.A.R.T hunting or full harvest hunting, I'd highly recommend it. It's a little bit of a journey up there, but well worth it. So, but we ended up getting into a lot of bears on that last bait. one giant bear came in, and he came in, and I was waiting for him to come into the bait, and he kind of moved off. And then there was other bears running around chasing each other, and then a couple, 3 little yearling bears, or 2-year-olds or whatever, they were in there all together eating, and then they'd go out, and then a sow with 2 cubs, and there was just bears flying in and out of there. But I was waiting for the big one to come back in, and a different bear came in, was almost identical, but looking at the films, he's probably about 75 pounds lighter than that big bear. So I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I didn't get that big bear heart shot, but we got him on film anyways. And so he's still up there. All those bears are still up there for an opportunity to full harvest or heart hunt, and that's the beauty of it. I love the fact that that those bears are still there for somebody else, and whether they want a full harvest or heart, that bear gets utilized a couple times. So it was really a good spot, that bait I was on there. And there was a lot of other baits, but that one was really hot, really active. I think the one evening I sat for 3 hours and saw seven different shootable bears. A lot of other little ones too, but 7 shootable bears, I think that was. And so that was a good spot. And then we decided, hey, let's go try to get an elk. We were seeing the bulls around, but we never really took the time to get close to them. And so we went out, and sure enough, we ran into a bull in the field, and so we got out and put a little stock on, and I shot but forgot to take the safety off, so I dropped the hammer on the safety on that marlin, which made a tink, and then they took off, and then Brock made a good running heart shot. Looking at the film, he would have got that bull, and then I made an old Texas follow-up heart shot on him, and so it was fun. If it was a full harvest hunt, that's the way it would have went down, and we'd had the elk, and so, but it was a heart hunt, and it was exactly the same. So, and I think that's the key. It was exactly the same. But that bull's still there. So, it's all about the hunt. The hunt was good there. Brock ended up getting a nice whitetail, and he wanted to see what it was like without the blank, if it was kind of the same or different. And he dropped the hammer on an empty chamber on that deer, and he did say it wasn't quite the same, but he enjoys that too. So, but now he knows that he can go out and with that camera and actually heart hunt and do it either way. So we got, there was the whitetail. We ended up getting a mule deer. Nice footage on that one. Good hard shot on that deer. We're seeing quite a few mule deer, which was surprising to Brock. And so we got the mule deer, we got the elk, we got the whitetail, we got a couple bears, and there was a moose. Could have hearted it, but I chose not to because I was waiting for the bears to come in. So we saw a couple cow moose, and then I saw that cow and calf moose. So basically, in 6-7 days, we hunted hard. In 6-7 days, the weather was nice time of year. We hunted all these species and saw a lot of animals and had a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, again, it was just kind of relaxing for everyone. There was no stress. We went out when we wanted to go out, and we just sat around talking if we didn't feel like going out. So, and the hunt was the same as it would have been if we had a live round in. So that's kind of the overview of that hunt with Broximo. And what I want to do is we're going to have the song from the heart. This is going to be just a little cowboy tune called Gospel According to Luke that I did on the spring bear hunt in Belt, Montana. But after that, we're going to bring Broximo in and get a good visit with him. He's just a super nice guy, and one heck of a hunter, one heck of an outdoorsman and a hunter. And I think you're going to enjoy it. So hope you enjoy the song, and we'll be back after that.
He was an old hand at living and making his way. He smelled like old whiskey and he needed a shave. He lived in a line shack at the old Flying U, And if you had a minute, an hour or two, he'd tell you the gospel according to Luke. Luke carried his Bible in his old saddlebag. He'd wipe off his brow with a dirty wild rag. And he'd tell you straight out just the way he believed. Your faith in the good Lord is all that you need. Now try hard to practice these words that I preach. Give to your brother if he is in need, and offer up thanks for the gifts you receive. There's treasure in heaven for the generous few. See, that was the gospel according to Luke. I saw him Friday, he was spending some time down at the feed store 'cause the weather'd been dry. He was handing out his wages from riding that week, saying you folks might need this a lot more than me. See, I try hard to practice these words that I preach. Give to your brother if he is in need, and offer up thanks for the gifts you receive. There's treasure in heaven for the generous few, and that was the gospel according to Luke. So I bought him breakfast out of Rosie's Cafe. Biscuits and gravy, black coffee and eggs. He was ragged, he was dirty, hadn't bathed in days. But I was the one there that felt out of place. When he folded his hands about his head and said grace. He was an old hand at living and making his way. He smelled like old whiskey and he needed a shave. He lived in a light shack at the old Flying U. And if you had a minute, an hour or two, and he'd tell you the gospel according to Luke.
All right. Now I'm here with Broximo, Outfitting in Mistatum, Saskatchewan. And for the last couple of days, we've been out and about hearting some animals. I'm showing Brock the heart system, and he's getting a good feel for it. And we were out looking for some bears, looking for some elk, deer, whatever we could find. And I'm telling you, I had a great time. This guy has a wealth of knowledge of about everything you can think of, and just a fun guy to be around. So welcome, Brock. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started into hunting, who are your major influences, and we'll go from there.
I got started into hunting. I'm third generation hunting guide. My dad did it. My grandpa did it. So it's kind of been a family thing. I didn't really ever think I had a choice but to be a hunter. I started doing black bear hunts with clients when I was 14. I got a good start on it when I was 17. I went to Tanzania to do my professional hunter's bush training. By 18, I was up in the Arctic doing caribou and wolf hunts. Put myself through college. Still going back to Africa, starting to get into Australia. But I wanted to get over to British Columbia, where the mountains are, where the bears are, where the real stuff is. Right. That to me was always the top, the pinnacle to get to. Hunting and guiding has been my life. Like that's been my mission since I was younger.
So I was down there with Heinrich in South Africa, and we were doing the hard thing. And he said, "Hey, I know a guy that this might be perfect for," and he gave you a shout. And you were really receptive to having me come out and giving this a try. What initially interested you about H.A.R.T and what Heinrich had told you?
When I was talking with Heinrich, I had both sides of the coin. I had the immediate skepticism of the whole thing, but I was very intrigued in it, where I knew it was a doorway to something and I didn't know where it went to, and I wanted to find out. The whole idea resonated with me because as a professional hunter, as a hunting guide, I've got clients. I don't get to hunt myself. So I've had to search out other ways to facilitate that for myself, and it's always been just get as close as you can, knowing you could have done it. This takes it to a total realistic level of it now that I've done it.
Right. So you graciously invited me up here to give it a try, and honestly I just came up, not really had anything in mind, and we kind of set out on just to settle in, get to know each other. And it's been a great couple of days. We went after bear, elk, deer, and then you got a chance to kind of get behind the gun, the setup for your own on your gun. And tell us about that first H.A.R.T that you did, what you were feeling, and how it kind of compared. Because I mean, when you hunt the world and you've full harvested as many animals as you had, and seen people and got on animals, you're going to know the feeling 100% what that is, right? So tell us your feeling after that first initial H.A.R.T for you.
The first initial H.A.R.T for me, because as a guide and someone that facilitates it for other people, every harvest is my harvest, even though I'm not behind the gun. Being with you when you did your first harvest, it was the exact same as when a client is there. We got up on that bear. When you shot and that bear ran off, the transition of H.A.R.T to full harvest didn't start at the gunshot, because after the bear ran off, I was thinking, am I leaving a wounded bear or a dead bear? Am I driving away from something? Because it was that real. And it was only until a few seconds later when that bear came back that it hit me that this was the backside of the whole thing. And it was amazing, because there was absolutely no change from what it's been like for my career to that point, other than there was no skinning, there was no tracking. It was really quite amazing. And then doing it myself the first time, it was when I shot, what happened after, what like my mind, it's hard to articulate what it goes through, because you feel as if you just shot that animal, as if you full harvested it, where you question yourself, was that a live round, or was that was that?
Yeah, and that's interesting, because it is you H.A.R.T it, and you can't really explain the feeling. It's a different feeling. It's the same feeling, then it ends up being kind of a different feeling, and it's hard to explain to anybody. I think I told you that when first I said, I can't explain it to you. You're gonna have to feel that. And on the backside of it is a totally different feeling that a guy, a hunter, full harvest hunter, really has never felt. And so it's a whole different mix of emotions. Your takeaway from that first H.A.R.T, was it, I want to do this again, or it was okay, but full harvest is kind of...
No. After my first H.A.R.T hunt, it was just a spark of emotions and a spark of ideas, because it's like, where could this go? What could this be like? Because it takes all the stress out of the hunting, takes all the stress out of it on my end as the person facilitating it, and it takes all the stress out of the hunter, and it amplifies and points out the purpose of the hunt. Like that's what you take away from it. You realize what the hunt is.
So how about the anticipation of like after that H.A.R.T and not really knowing? I mean, you can feel you made a good shot, but not really knowing now that it's going to be recorded and we can see for sure. There was a kind of it carried on, right? It carries on the hunt because you can't know right then if you got it. So we have to kind of wait, and you're kind of exciting. The computer's loading, and you're like, "Was that
it's the exact same because it's like you shoot and you're pretty confident that you made a good shot, but you always question it, right? So then getting back is like doing the tracking, and it's when you feel like maybe it wasn't the best shot, and you get to go back and look, and you're like, okay, you recognize in a way it'll make you a better shot. It will make you a better hunter, especially on an animal that's moving. The not just standing perfectly broadside, because you can look at it and be like, this is where I would have hit.
And track the angles and
absolutely. Yeah. And it's when it's on video with your system, there's no room for exaggeration, and there's no room for embellishment on it. It is what it is, the way it turned out. There's no guessing it. This is where it would have hit when you were.
And what I like about, I'm sitting in the bear stand, and we saw multiple bears. I mean, this is a awesome place for game. And I saw multiple bears come in, and, you can have in your mind, well, I can H.A.R.T anything. I can H.A.R.T all day. But that's not the case. It's just like full harvest. You're not going to H.A.R.T when there's a big bear around. You're not going to H.A.R.T the first little bear that comes in, because you have to run the chance of scaring that big bear. And so you let all these bears go by to the one, and a lot of times I would wait all the way till dark before I finally H.A.R.Ted that bear that I thought was the big bear. And we come back in the video and find out, well, I didn't really get the biggest bear, because there were so many bears coming in and got dark or whatever. And it was just like hunting. It was like I didn't get them, but I got two great H.A.R.Ts on two great bears. But it wasn't like I was just out there boom, 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 boom the whole time.
No.
And so it's hunting.
It is, but it's hunting without the shooter's remorse of it, because even though it wasn't, you thought it was the big one, and it wasn't. Though there was a different one that was there. There's no disappointment in the evening's hunt. There's nothing. It's like, you still got one in the excitement, and it's cool to see the big one and the learning that you get from it. A lot of the best lessons in life are kind of hard to learn. So learning that, bears do switch up on you, but there's no punishment with it. Because it feels like punishment when you shoot the wrong animal, when you full harvest the wrong animal. And this way it's a great tool, because even if you H.A.R.T one of them, you're still sitting there and another one comes in, you learn that lesson without having the, I already filled my tag, I can't keep hunting. One of the biggest excitement learning parts, I love learning things, and I love when I'm taught something new, was when we were going around and we found that big mule deer. And mule deer around here aren't something that I typically see, and we found one, and it was quite a big one, and it was just out there enough. You were lined up. I'm anticipating the shot, and I was feeling that, like, come on, we got to get it. We got to, we got to get it. And you didn't take the shot. You said it was just a little bit too far away. The video wouldn't be good, but you got good video of the deer. And for me, I had to sit back and really, I was humbled, because you taught me a lesson there, because it's the same thing of when you're hunting and you find something and it's not quite a good shot, or it's a little bit too far, but it's something that it's so big, or it's so you don't get to see them that often. You take that risk, and that's not what hunting's about. The hunting's about, you take the shot when you know it's a good shot. And right. So when the trophy is the film of making a good shot and not shooting it, it brings you back to the basics of what hunting's really about.
And I enjoyed that was, I turned back into the pickup, and I kind of saw a little bit of a question mark on your forehead, like, what? And I knew it was just, you were going to think about it a little bit, but the video doesn't lie. And when something's too far and it's going to be an iffy shot, you just wait till it's right, because it's the hunt. And I really enjoyed that too, because it really hit home what H.A.R.T was about, right? It was about the hunt and not actually killing or full harvesting that animal. And now that was a great mule deer, by the way. He was pretty big. So
Another great thing is just the dynamics of this are there's so many different avenues with it, because you can have a hunter that's learning to hunt something or learning the area, like you've been saying. From my side of things, aside from the obvious when someone uses this, because I've been a hunter but also a guide doing both, I don't get to hunt that much. I can't take a moose or a black bear before a client does, because if they don't get one, it's just not right. That's not what men do. So I haven't got to hunt for a lot of years, and this system it has allowed me to hunt more in the last week than I usually do in a year for myself, and it's exciting because now it's I wake up thinking like I want to go. It's bringing back the initial excitement of the hunting that you get desensitized to as someone who does it for a living. They do it so much that you almost can't be bothered to wake up and go in the morning for yourself, because you can't actually follow through with it. This is the answer to making both sides of it okay.
right, it's an addition to you, right. You kind of found that out. It wasn't anything taking away from full harvest, and it's not anything that's going to be exclusively heart, but it's a great addition to it, isn't it?
It is. It's the hesitation or the skepticism that I had went away completely within the first day of using this system. And it made it obvious what it really is. It's something that's like a roller coaster ride. You have to ride a roller coaster to know what it's like to be on a roller coaster ride. You have to heart something so that you know what it's like, because there is going to be skepticism about it from some people love having that trophy of it. But I can't think of a single person who wouldn't have just as much fun with this system versus the full harvest. I think it's going to be more people are going to realize it's even more fun because there's more opportunities and there's no stress of it. There's no, if you do make a bad shot with it, you learn from it and you get to carry on. You want to make a better shot the next time. If, there's nobody's upset because they didn't get the animal, or because they actually missed, or because it was not the big one. That it took every avenue of stress out of it completely.
So speaking of jumping back to the trophy aspect of it, so after we hearted a few things and we go over to your folks' house and we go down the basement, and Broximo's mom is an artist and has a friend that's an artist, and they have a little shop down there that has jewelry and paintings. And I was just blown away, because that's the essence of heart. We're here hearting, and we go down into the basement, and there's this shop full of heart trophies. I mean, not knowing they were heart trophies, right? But they are heart trophies. From everything that can remind you and memorialize these hunts was in there, and there was so much variety. And what was your feeling when we were down there? I started telling you about how this trophy aspect of it fits in to the heart system, to where you don't need actually a full harvest to have a trophy.
It's the same thing. Like the vision and ideas that you have are genius, and when I got to witness you have one of those genius ideas, because you pointed out the obvious. Just like with the heart system, this is the obvious answer to a lot of issues around hunting. And when you point out that this could be a heart trophy, it's the obvious, like, yes, absolutely. For me, I don't always get to take a trophy home because I don't always get to hunt. So being able to keep, maybe anything from a certain bone or a piece of the hide or something, so that I can remember the hunt, it's absolutely on par with using something like this. Animals that were ethically taken, or animals that, you've got the shed horns from a whitetail that are made into something because it's whitetail, or a painting that's an elk that symbolizes, I'm trying to think of the word. It shows off what memorializes the hunt.
Right.
It's a symbol of what the hunt was. You don't need the full rack hanging there to say, I did this.
To me, you don't need the animal because it was your hunt. This hunting is about, and it should be all about you and the experience and what you gain out of it. So it's your decision now how you want to memorialize that. And there's a plethora of choices out there,
Mm-hmm.
From your mom shop and then anything else that's out in the world to memorialize that hunt. So it becomes your choice. And then when you choose to show that off, it becomes more your story to that person that you're showing that to, instead of their idea of what that animal in that hunt was.
Sure. And rather than, because everybody that hunts, they've got, the whitetail racks lined up in their, in their shop or in their garage or in their man cave. But then they display the biggest ones or the best ones or their favorite hunts elsewhere. This is a way of bringing those, those other ones into the same space. Like you got, it doesn't take away from the actual from the full harvest. It doesn't take away from that. It actually puts a spotlight on how special and how important a full harvest really is.
Right.
Because you realize that you don't need to take one just to have that experience and to be able to remember it later and display something to remind you of what it was
But
like.
when you decide,
But when you decide to actually full harvest, it's going to be like, I find myself getting more and more, the more I've been hearting things, the more excited I get for the full harvest, but the more it's showing me how really it's
to love
special
the
and
hunt again,
important.
right?
Yeah, special and important it really is. The significance of it that I think we otherwise take for granted, because without, a rack to show, to display it, it didn't happen, kind of thing. And this, it doesn't take away, it amplifies the hunt, but doesn't take away from the full harvest. It actually amplifies the full harvest on the same side.
So on that note, in the future, how do you see H.A.R.T fitting in with your operation, if it does or if it doesn't, or kind of what's your kind of thoughts on the future with you with this hunt and release technique?
Well, right away, immediately, it's, if I'm hunting with a client and we see that almost big enough animal, that one that, like guys say, if it was the last day, I would take it, so that they can experience the, putting the sights on them, pulling the trigger, experience the hunt part of it. I can pass them this system and say, here, shoot it with this, and they'll be able to experience the hunt of it with and show themselves that they didn't actually need to kill that one to enjoy the experience of it. And it would take the pressure off completely. Day 2, you see that one that you would shoot on the last day, you heart it and you continue to hunt for full harvest while feeling like you've already been successful. So it takes all the pressure off. Now, if you see that big one that you've been after, it makes it all the better, because there was no pressure. There was no, I got to get this one, because you already got one. And it's something you really have to try so that you know how real it really is. It's the same satisfaction it's the same feeling of actually full harvesting. When you heart something, it's the same feelings, the same actions, the same excitement, the same adrenaline. You actually always have that, did I actually shoot that animal? Like, how the animals react to it is amazing, because it looks the exact same, it feels the exact same, but then you feel better about it afterwards, because you realize, I didn't actually really need to take something, right? It's a way of, this is brilliant, because this is a way of giving back while still experiencing what's out there.
So within your operation, do you feel that there is clientele that would come out and hunt with you on a strictly a hunt and release
Absolutely
technique hunt?
Guys that have been up and have done it. Lots of my clients, they've done 10, 20 bear hunts with me. They continually do it, and they're not doing it for the trophy. They're doing it for the hunt part of it, for the camaraderie, for the scenery, for the reflection time that you have being out in the woods, thinking about, your life, the things over the past year since last hunting season. So this is I can see many of them choosing to do this because they really don't have the room in their house for a trophy, or they don't really need to kill another one. They've got the one. They've got their once in a lifetime trophy, but they don't want to stop hunting that species. They want to continue this. So they end up coming, watching, and unless it's so big and so ridiculous, they don't harvest anyways. This is a way that you can start them over from the beginning again, and they can start building up, start from the bottom, and get that, colored one that's maybe not the right, not the right size, and work their way up the diversification of it. Guys that they want to hunt, but they're unsure of the, their confidence in themselves aren't there. So it's a way to hunters that aren't as experienced, they can build their confidence up before they do a full harvest. I think this is going to massively diversify it, and every single person, no matter what they're looking for out of it, can find an avenue that heart hunting applies to them.
So you're heading off to BC in a couple days to start your moose hunting season, and you're going to take along the H.A.R.T setup, the Tacticam, the film through scope system, and you're going to do a few H.A.R.T hunts while you're there. Send the video back and so we can all see. And are you excited about that? And what do you think? What do you think your clients, when you do that? What do you think their initial thoughts are going to be? Because I wish I could be there to see those first few H.A.R.Ts at that camp.
I think their initial thoughts are going to be similar to mine. Some of them are going to be skeptical of it. Some of them are going to be intrigued by it and be like, really, it will be. I'm excited for it because it's more action. It's more. You can H.A.R.T hunt every day. If you get the bull, if they get their bull on the first day, full harvest on the first day, they're not done hunting. We can continually go rather than, sitting around fishing. We can keep that same intensity and excitement about hunting. Guys that, are waiting for that big one, they haven't hunted moose before, but they want a big mature one. They don't want to shoot one just to shoot one. So now they can, with the H.A.R.T system, I can call those moose in. They can see how they react. They can essentially practice for the full harvest and get the experience from it. Know what the moose does. Know how they react.
Get some muscle memory, right? So
Absolutely.
when it really comes and that adrenaline's really pumping with that huge one, that you're not fumbling around for the safety. You're not trying to find them in the scope, right? And exactly. You can kind of analyze where they're holding, and you can say, whoa. We need to be a little bit more forward on that, maybe a little higher, whatever, right? And then they know, and kind of a tool to eliminate some of these bad shots that a guy sees every once in a while.
Bad habits
Absolutely.
that people have. They'll actually get to see it because it shows them in a way that they can't see themselves, and you can't even see it on film with an external camera. They're essentially able to watch what they were looking at and relive it and learn from it. And I think it's going to be great. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see the responses for it. I'm excited to see the skeptics and what their thoughts are and what their transition is from learning about the system to using the system and full harvesting, because these guys are going to get to do all avenues. They're going to get to H.A.R.T hunt. They're also going to get to full harvest, and they're going to get to compare, and I'm going to get to hear their thoughts one way or the other. I could see a scenario playing out where the bull coming in, how it was coming in, the fog, the this, the that, and they H.A.R.T it. It might be, I know somebody is going to prefer the hunt for them is going to be with the H.A.R.T system, that they're going to say that was the coolest part of my hunt, was that how that one came in. Yeah, I got a big one over here, but sometimes the big ones aren't very glamorous. It's they're there, you do it, and it's over, and you don't even realize you get to hunt it. And so sometimes it happens, you're sitting in a whitetail stand and you've got, that young buck running around and he's snorting and he's chasing the does, and it's exciting to watch. And then the one that you actually full harvest, he just walks in and stands and you shoot it. It's exciting because you're going after, that's what trophy hunting's all about, going for the big ones, the mature ones, the old ones. But sometimes it's the other experiences that stick with a person, and those are the memories that they take home.
Right.
I know someone's going to take the memory of H.A.R.T hunt home and hold it in higher regard than the full harvest aspect of it. Not that it diminishes the full harvest, but they complement each other in that way, where they get to take both experiences home. They get to take the excitement one comes in, the one that they would have chose not to harvest, they still could, H.A.R.T harvest it. The full harvest one that comes in, they still get to experience what they were essentially booked the hunt.
All right, Broximo, I'm going to get out of here. Get out of your hair. I know you got to head over to BC. You got a bunch of stuff to get ready. So I've had a great time just visiting with you, on top of the fact that I saw a lot of bears, elk, deer, moose, and we've had a chance to H.A.R.T some of them, and you've had a chance to H.A.R.T some of them. And I wish you good luck on your upcoming full harvest season, and hopefully you can do a little H.A.R.T while you're out there.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you for taking the time to come out, and thank you for the experiences that I got to have. I got to I never get to hunt elk because it's overlaps my moose season. And this year you gave me that opportunity to hunt elk that I haven't got to do in a long time. It's something that I do miss. And I got to fulfill that.
Well, I appreciate you, man. It's been a heck of a trip. So, all right, guys, I'll be back next time. I got another hunt coming up, heading down south to Montana. So, in the meantime, please take care of your neighbor and heart the hunt.
Tonight to be the first to buy around. We ain't here for a long time, just a good time. Momentary footprints in the sand. We ain't here for a long time, just a good time. Just well get out of the stand. Just get on up and get out of the stand.